it's gonna suck initially, because it just does. Your body is resisting it because your body likes warmth, it doesn't like cold. So it's going to kick in what they call a parasympathetic nerve system, which is your fight or flight. Well, hi, this is Mike Howard from the Ronin Leadership Podcast. I hope all of you had a great weekend. We just finished off the premiere of the F1 Grand Prix here in Las Vegas this weekend. We got to take advantage of it and spent 3 wonderful nights and early morning at near the MSG Sphere, which is a really new addition to Las Vegas. It's beautiful and it's hard to describe, but we had a great time, and it's great to see great things happening to our city here in Las Vegas. Thank you all for continuing to subscribe to our podcast. We're growing our subscribership on a weekly basis, sometimes on a daily basis, and that's because of all of you spreading the word. Please continue to hit the like button, the share button, and subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe to the podcast. We've got some great guests coming up, some interesting topics, and I'm just announcing that I'm almost done with the editing process for my new book that's coming out. It's the second in the Jack Trench series. It started with Full Circle, and now we'll have a Blood Promise, which is the sequel. And we should hopefully get that book out to the public sometime in the next month before Christmas, hopefully. So maybe you can buy a copy for yourself and maybe for some of your friends as a gift. And I know that a lot of you have asked about getting the books on Audible, because a lot of people nowadays, they really want to listen to books as they're working out or driving to work or what have you. And so that's coming. I've actually have a wonderful person that's narrating Full Circle, my first Jack Trench novel. And so hopefully we'll get that out too before the end of the year. So we've got some great things, really important, fun things happening, exciting things happening in that realm as well. For today's podcast, a little bit unusual. I want to talk to you about something I've been doing for myself in the last couple of months, and it all started with, I love YouTube. I love just listening to different content, whether it's political content or a lot of times it's funny. And a lot of times there's a lot of leadership things in there. There's a lot of great podcasts on leadership, whether you listen to Jocko Willink or folks like him. There's just a lot of good content on there. And one thing I've been noticing in the last 6 months is the whole idea of resilience and how to build resilience within yourself. In this crazy world. And one of the things I came across was this concept of using cold water, whether it was showers or plunges, to help build resilience. I'd never thought of it before, never really even contemplated it. I've seen like the polar bear plunge, where you see people going into the frigid water once a year. Maybe during the holidays or something. There's always a new snippet about that, but it was really interesting. So it's like, okay, but there was the people that I follow a lot. I noticed there was a pattern, and one of the patterns I've noticed in them was their adoption of some type of cold water. I wouldn't call it therapy, but a cold water regimen that they have adopted to build resilience. I saw videos of of for instance, Jocko talking about the fact that he does that. And Mark Wahlberg talked about that he does a cold plunge every day. And I started seeing and hearing more and more people that I followed that talked about either the cold showers or the cold plunges in the water to build resilience and mental toughness. And of course, we all know that, look at, Navy SEALs when they go through BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition School, and a lot of that time is spent in cold water, right? They're frigid water. We've all seen the videos of these young Navy SEALs in training holding on to each other, and they're up to their necks in frigid water in Coronado Bay in San Diego. And you just obviously that builds toughness, but that's a military aspect to this cold water plunge and resilience kind of thing. So I started doing a lot more research on this, and came across a guy that a lot of you probably have heard of, but I hadn't heard of him up until a couple months ago. Is Wim Hof. And Wim Hof is apparently the guru of all things cold water plunges and showers. And you watch the videos and you think, this is a crazy guy, right? Going into frigid waters and just this madman that just loves the cold. But as I started reading about Wim Hof and his background, he wasn't always born, to love cold water. And he's European, but doesn't mean all Europeans love cold water. They know how to adapt to cold because it's cold in Europe a lot. But as a young man, he suffered tragedy when his wife, who was suffering from depression, killed herself. And they had 4 kids. And so here's this young Wim Hof devastated because his wife apparently jumped off of a building and killed herself. He's left with 4 children and with not a whole lot of means at that time to take care of them. And he could have, and I think he fell into a bit of a depression himself. And for some reason, he decided to go into frigid water, thinking maybe for some reason it might help. And he got into that water. And of course, there's that initial, when you get into cold, any kind of cold water element, whether it's a shower or a cold plunge, there's that initial, it just takes your breath away. And it can be painful and uncomfortable. But he came up, there was an epiphany with Wim Hof. As he adapted in that very first plunge, and he admits it didn't last a long time, maybe a minute. But whatever he was feeling emotionally, depression-wise, whatever, it went away for that minute. Because obviously it was cold, right? He's shivering, and he's concentrating on the moment, and he came out of that water realizing something, that there's no magic bullet to tragedies and bad things happening in your life. As you know, I've practiced Stoicism. I'm a real student of it. I have become a student of it for a while now. And bad things are going to happen in your life. It's just inevitable. It's a matter of how you deal with it that gets you through, either positively or negatively. And so, in a way, Wim Hof going into the cold water was in some way a stoic kind of experience, because he went into the cold water depressed, maybe seemingly without hope or little hope, because he didn't know how things were going to work out. And he came out of that water with a realization that he could overcome, at least for that 1 minute, something that was very challenging, and he felt it made him stronger. And so he started delving into it more and more and more. And obviously, over the years, he's broken all these records, running marathon in Antarctic with just shorts, or doing all kinds of crazy, what you would call crazy things that got him in the Guinness Book of World Records over and over again, having to do with the ability to withstand cold and cold water and endure. And his legend spread to where it went into not just cold water, but also a breathing regimen that he teaches. And I've been watching a lot of his videos as of late because I started delving more into this cold water thing. Again, first, because a lot of the people I admire, leaders that I admire, talked about how they incorporated some of it into their regimen on a daily basis. Even guys like Joe Rogan, right? He's got, one of the best, if not arguably the most popular podcast out there. He did a segment on cold plunging, and he does that maybe 20 minutes a day. He admits he overdid it at one point, but he swears by it. And so I started doing my own research and delved into a lot of information that's out there about the benefits of cold plunging or cold showers and what that does to the body, right? And so in essence, when you expose yourself to cold water, when we say cold, we're talking about basically anywhere between normally 50 to 60 degrees. That's usually the sweet spot, though, depending on where you are, you can get down to, 30, 40 degrees, 45 degrees, depending on what you're using. And we can get into that in a little bit. So as I started delving into the information that's out there, a couple of things really intrigued me. Okay, so number one was this whole idea of resilience. That was kind of the number one takeaway from cold plunges, cold showers, is the idea of resilience. You're building resilience. If you can endure cold for a certain period of time and being able to master your body to adapt to that, then the rest of your day is going to be better, because no matter what you're facing at work or personal issues or something, your mind can always revert to the fact that if I can withstand that kind of rigor, I can withstand anything and I can get through anything. It's a mindset. It's a resilience mindset, and it's real and it's true. And I started off first with cold showers, right? I started for like 45 seconds. And as soon as you get in that cold shower and that thing hits you, you automatically, everybody goes through the same thing. Your body goes into this fight or flight mode because it doesn't like the cold, right? And so it reacts by constricting all the vessels in your blood vessels in your body, and you've got miles and miles of blood vessels throughout your body that are constricted. Blood is being pushed away from your extremities into the parts of your body that the body believes it needs to protect. So the heart, lungs, kidneys, all that good stuff. And then your extremities are cold, right? Because they don't have that blood to protect it. But then once you are adapted, or once you get out of that cold element, then the blood vessels open up and it pumps more good blood into your body. So it's really good for your cardiovascular system. So, but I started with this with 30 seconds, and it was not pleasant. It never is pleasant, unless you're a guy like Wim Hof. For most people, that initial reaction of going into the cold water, whether it's a shower or whatever, is not pleasant. And that you think about it before you get in, like, oh hell, here we go, right? And you go do it. But then when I came out of that first time, the shower, it was this sense of accomplishment, like I did it. Like I stood there under that shower for 30, 40 seconds or whatever it was, and I did it, and then kept at it on a daily basis, and then got up to a minute, and then I've worked my way up to where, if I wanted to, I can go 10 minutes, but usually I go 5 minutes on a daily basis before working out. Before going to work out, I'll do it. And again, what I read and what I've researched in terms of the benefits are, yes, it continues to build resilience, but it works on your cardiovascular system, as I talked about. It really jacks up your level of dopamine and all the good hormones that make you feel good. That really raises the dopamine levels in your body, so you're feeling alert and you're feeling good for hours and hours and hours on end. I mean, after that first shower and then the subsequent showers, I'm alert, I'm awake. It's better than caffeine. And this is just me. There are studies out there about how it affects workouts. For me lately, when I go to F45 with Janice, and after I've done the cold showers and now cold plunges, not only am I more alert, I feel like my performance in the gym or the studio is better. I'm able to work out harder. One of the reasons is right here, mental. As things get really tough in F45, because it's all HIIT related workouts, there are times when you're doing something and it sucks, but then in my mind I started thinking about, okay, but I was just in this freezing water and survived that. I can do another lunge, or I can do another box jump, or I can do something else. And a lot of what, as we all know, when you talk about physical fitness and trying to get better and better and better, has to do with your ability to mentally overcome the obstacle. Physically, you have it within you. David Goggins, who is a former Navy SEAL, who talks a lot about resilience, he likes to say that when you think you're done, you actually are only 40% of the way. You have a lot more in the tank, but it depends on here, whether or not you actually get through that. And so I find myself reverting back to thinking about the cold water aspect of what I do on a daily basis when I'm working out. If I'm running across a problem, during the day, whether it's writing or things I'm doing on boards and things like that, again, the mental resilience comes into play because I've been able to endure the cold. And so there's that aspect of the ability to put yourself and immerse yourself in cold water. Also revs up your metabolism. As your body is shivering, the shivering is because it's trying to warm itself up. This thermogenesis, they call it, right? The ability of the body to rev up the metabolism and try to get warmer. And so your metabolism is warmed up. So it's really great if you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to maintain, or you just like the fact that your metabolism is another way to, I hate to use the word hack, but there's a way to hack your metabolism to at least once a day to get it revved up. And so that's a great benefit. Studies show also that it helps in the formation of what they call brown fat versus white fat. So white fat is the fat that you don't really want to have. Brown fat, however, is the fat that you do want to have, and again, that helps in weight loss or maintenance or what have you. So there's all kinds of benefits, scientifically proven benefits, to immersing yourself in cold water to a certain extent. So for the longest time, I started with the cold showers. And ironically, I had friends of mine that pinged me and said, hey, glad you're doing this because I've been doing this for years, and I've always felt great. A really great friend of mine, Stu Blanchard, who's a former agency guy and also former Delta Force. He told me about the fact that he has been doing this for years, and it's been life changing. And it was no BS. It's true. It's life changing to a large extent. It really is. And then, so then I started researching like what's better. Are cold showers better than cold plunges, or vice versa? It depends who you talk to. I think, as long as you do something like that, you're going to get a benefit. We're lucky that so you can buy all kinds of different ice baths. I saw a real funny video of Wahlberg at a hotel, and he was pouring bags of ice, buckets of ice into his hotel bathtub. Of course, he was saying, well, I went to every floor and grabbed ice. Well, we know he probably had people working for him that grabbed the ice, but the point is, he got in there, and he does it on the road too. But we're lucky enough to have a pool, and in the wintertime, well, it's getting close to winter, it's officially fall, but as the temperatures drop, the water temperature drops too. So the water temperatures can average anywhere from 40 to 60 degrees. Today, because we got some wind blowing, it was 45 to 47 degrees. But I started, okay, let me go try doing a cold plunge in the pool. And I think the first time I did it, the pool temperature was about 58. And I got in, and I think I wanted to try to do at least a minute, minute or two. And one thing I found out was, as soon as you get in, again, you get that really uncomfortable feeling, like, I don't want to be here. Your body doesn't want to be there. It's fighting it. But I was able to get in up to my neck and hold that position. I was moving my arms, legs, because I realized that as you're plunging, the sensation of blood from your extremities, your hands and your feet, are more exacerbated. So I noticed that unlike a shower, you really felt it in your hands and feet. And I had to keep moving my hands and my feet. They got really, really cold. And so I invested in these cold water gloves and booties, and that really helped because then it helped me be able to stay in that water a little longer. So I just kind of, over a period of time, just got back in, and it got to the point where, as it is now, once I get in, I just get in. There's no trepidation. I don't just ease my way in. I just go in. And again, it sucks for 10, 20, maybe 30 seconds, and then you're just kind of at peace. Okay, I'm here. I'm used to this element. Your body has adapted. So now I've been doing this for, I don't know, I'm trying to think now, the first time I did it, but probably 3 weeks or so. Been doing it, and today, what's the date today? Today is the 20th of November, Thanksgiving week, which is hard to believe. Today I went in, and the temperature was 47 degrees in the pool. So it's the coldest I've been. I got in there. You could definitely feel the difference between temps in the 40s as opposed to 50s. So it was definitely colder, and the shiver factor was more pronounced. But I did 7 minutes today, and it felt good. And so now, again, it just builds that resilience. And now it's just something that I have to do. Whether it's doing the showers or whether it's the plunges, I have to do it in the mornings. And it's important for me personally to get that done. I feel better during the day, feel like I've accomplished something. Again, that's something that for me is important, that I could check that box off. Plus, you know, there's a guy named Andrew Huberman. He's out of Stanford. A lot of you have probably heard of him. If you haven't, you should look him up on YouTube and internet. He's a doctor of ophthalmology, but he also teaches a lot of things about the brain and resilience. And he speaks a lot about this cold water therapy. He does it himself, and he obviously advocates for it. And one of the things he talks about also is the ability to get sunlight during the day. One of the reasons we left Seattle was we just got tired of the weather, and you know, a large part of the year you rarely see the sun, and the sun is important for health. And so a big part of cold plunging here in Las Vegas is that I get both benefits. I'm in the cold water, I'm building resilience, and doing really good. The cold water is doing good things for my body, but I'm getting the sunlight hitting me too. And so I'm getting a double benefit because it really helps with mood and attitude and etc. So it has become a part of my regimen. Another thing that Wim Hof talks about is a breathing regimen that helps you with lung capacity. And it's basically 35 breaths that you take, starting with as you breathe in with your stomach, all the way up, and then you, as he says, let it go. I'm trying to use his accent, and breathe in and just let it go, but you're not forcing it out, you're just letting it go naturally. 35 times, and on the 35th time, as you let it go, you don't have to go all the way till you have no air left, but you just let it go till it's natural, and then you stop and you hold your breath for as long as you can. And you do that for 3 rounds. And what you'll end up discovering is that even though you have let your air out, you're finding that you're able to, over a period of time, increase the length of time that you can hold your breath. And then when you can't hold your breath anymore, you don't want to get it so you pass out. Obviously, when you feel like, okay, I need to breathe, you breathe in and hold for 15 seconds. And you repeat that process 3 times. And I remember I've been able to hold my breath way past, even after several rounds of that, way past 2 minutes. So I've increased my capacity, my lung capacity over a period of time as well. But these are just things that I just started adopting because it makes me feel good, and I think I'm doing something good for my body. But also I wanted to test myself. One of the things that's consistent about anything you watch on YouTube, and I would encourage you, go on YouTube, do a search on cold plunge, cold showers. There's all kinds of information out there. Now you'll have people that say it's not good for you, but the vast majority of people that do it will tell you that personally they feel better for it. But there's a consistency there. There's a constant theme. Number one, it's going to suck initially because it just does. Your body is resisting it because your body likes warmth. It doesn't like cold. So it's going to kick in what they call a parasympathetic nerve system, which is your fight or flight. And then at some point your body adapts, and then you're at peace. You're calm with it, right? And you're ready to take in the cold shower, or you're ready to experience the cold water as you plunge. But there's that constant of every time, but there's also the constant of you're looking forward to it, because at some point, as opposed to, at least for me, as opposed to when I initially started this journey, you think about, okay, I gotta jazz myself up mentally to get into that cold shower. I gotta jazz myself up to get into the pool. And now it's a matter of, like, I approach the shower, I turn it on, and I just go in and just let it hit me. And initially it was just, I remember the hardest part for me was, it was always the back. If the cold water hit my back, it was just, but now it's like, I'm adapted to it, and I welcome it, and and I think about things. Either I think about breathing, or I'm watch. I have the news on. I can't hear what it's saying in the shower, but I can look at that. And I can just, but a lot of it was you want to be there, you want to be present. And it's like Wim was saying, when he first got in and he was depressed and his wife had passed and he's got all these issues, but for that 1 minute, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was the cold and your body adapting to it, and then your body, liking it. And so it's the same with me. Now it gets to the point where I just go into the water in the pool. I just get under the shower. I just do it. And for whatever time I do it, it's freeing. I can be in the pool and I look at the sun and I think about, I'm doing this. And, at age 67, I'm finding out you can still learn new things. And that's what's exciting about this whole thing for me, is that I've learned something new about myself, about my ability to continue to build a resilience in another manner. The one caution I would have is, if you're like me, and a lot of you I think are like me, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, you like to exceed. That's the ringer, that's my doggy. We've actually trained our dog to ring the bell when she wants to go out and when she wants to come in. Sometimes she gets overzealous and she'll ding, 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 ring that bell all the time, but that was her. If you hear the dinging, that was Kiku. The one thing I would caution you is don't overdo it. And I have a tendency to do stuff like that. Like, if I can do 5 minutes, then I can do 20 minutes or blah, blah, blah. And we were in Boston recently visiting some friends, and they had a pool. Now, it gets a lot colder out there than it does here. We just happened that the weekend we were there, the Saturday, we were there for a long weekend, and the Saturday we were there was actually a beautiful day, almost 80 degrees. It was an anomaly. But the pool temperature was probably still 50 to 60. And so after we did some sightseeing, we went into the pool with our friends, and but most everybody else got in, maybe did a little exercise or swam a lap, and my wife got in and got out. And we all kind of stayed around the pool shooting the bull for, I don't know, better part of an hour, and I stayed in a long time. I was probably in there a total of 45 minutes, up to my neck, and because it felt good. But then I remember we got out of the pool, got dried off. They wanted to give us some appetizers in the kitchen, and we went there. And I remember thinking, I was shaking. Like, I don't think anybody could see me visibly, but I was really shaking. I was really cold. And then I remember we took a nap before going out to dinner, and holy smokes, I was shivering. It took a long time for me to warm up. So that was too much time. It was bordering on hypothermia. And I think Joe Rogan talked about this too. That happened to him as well when he went in there, because there's a lot of us with the mindset that we can overcome anything and we can do it, but you want to be foolish about it. And so I have to stop myself. Even a couple days ago, I went into the pool, and I decided I think it was probably 56 degrees in the water, and I did 20 minutes, and I was happy I did 20 minutes, but that was too much. So the sweet spot is anywhere from 3 minutes to 10, and I wouldn't have you expose yourself to cold water any more than that. And most everyone that's more of an expert than I am, again, I'm a layperson. I'm a devotee. I'm no expert by any means. I'm just telling you my journey, my experience in this thing. That's probably your sweet spot, but start slow. If it's 10 seconds, 15 seconds. My wife Janice actually a couple weeks ago, and she doesn't like this at all, but she got in and she was able to get in for a minute into the cold water. And again, it's a sense of accomplishment. But I would start slow, maybe. And a lot of folks, even like Wim Hof will tell you, maybe try do a warm shower, do your regular shower, and then slowly turn the water off till it's cold and stay there for 15 seconds. And maybe next time you'll do it for 30 seconds. But you just build it up to the point where, anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes is, you start doing that. And I guarantee you, over a period of time, you find your mental alertness is better. You're better equipped to take on the day. Whatever comes your way, you can handle it because you've handled something already earlier that day with the cold water immersion or exposure. And you're doing something good physically for your body. And even if you find that, like this weekend with the Grand Prix and everything, you had relatives in town, we didn't have time to do our usual workouts. But for me, going into that pool is a workout. You're doing something good for your body. So I would encourage you to, first of all, research this. Don't take my word for it. Research it. Look up Wim Hof and take a look at the available information out there from medical journals and what have you. There's a guy named Dr. Berg. I can't remember his first name. He's got I'll put a link on his video, his YouTube video, on the benefits of cold water immersion, cold water therapy, or whatever you want to call it, experience. It's really good because it really breaks down more than I can how beneficial this can be for you. And so we'll put a link on this video to that. But then do your research, and then if you decide that you want to go for it, I would encourage you to try it. Start slow and then work your way up. You'll end up hopefully, well, I don't know. We'll see, but you may end up like me, just relishing the fact that you can do this every day and it's something good for you. It doesn't take a long time, but the benefits of it far outweigh whatever pain. And when I say pain, I mean, it's not like, you getting stuck with a knife or that kind of thing, but there's a pain element in there in terms of the shock factors as soon as your body gets hit with cold. But then your body adapts. Your body's very adaptable. And then you start to feel really good. And the fact that, wow, I'm overcoming this physically and mentally. And I'm building that toughness, that resilience that we all need in this particular crazy world that we live in with all the stressors. We definitely need things that help build our resilience. I've been able to combine this also with something I think I've talked about earlier in passing, maybe in a reel or something, but I make sure that my morning regimen, and again, these are things that I have read and adopted from a lot of people that I respect in the leadership and in the what I call the body wellness and care field, is when I wake up in the morning, I pray and read some Bible verses, but you can meditate. I also read a daily stoicism snippet to get started for the day. So that puts my mind at rest. I do not look at the news. I do not look at the internet. I don't look at anything like that at the beginning of the morning. And then after I have that mental part of my day started, so I'm not inundated with bad news and bad things or thinking about the calendar or anything like that. I've got my mind set on positive things. I also do a gratitude journal. It's online. I just do it. It's really fast. You list down, it asks you, okay, what are the things you're grateful for this morning? And it could be anything. It could be because I saw the sunshine out my window or blue skies or whatever it is, but it gets your mind set on, okay, these are the things I'm grateful for. And then what are 3 things you want to accomplish today? And it should be doable. A lot of it's low-hanging fruit. I want to do a 30-second cold plunge. I want to do a 3-minute cold plunge. I want to spend X amount of time playing with my dog, or whatever it is, you list it down. And then um, and then there's a section where you talk about, well, how do you put it? Affirmations, right? So, I am confident, I am resilient, I am aware, I am here, I can do this. As you write it down, it's a way of reinforcing that. So now you've started your day off with, for me, a little prayer, a little stoicism, a little bit of gratitude, and things I want to accomplish today. So that puts my mind in the right in the right state. Then when I do either the cold shower or the cold plunge, now I'm doing something for my body and building resilience as well. Then I go have my cup of coffee and then get ready to, go to workout. And so that way, I'm ready when I need to finally look at mail and finally deal with the issues of the day, whatever problems there are, whatever issues there are, or even listening to the news and seeing all the crap that's going on in the world. You're able to handle it better, both physically and mentally. And so that I want to just talk about that today, my journey. I loved it. Like I said, today was like 47 degrees, and I was able to do that for 7 minutes, and I feel great. And I can't wait to do it again. I have to make sure I'm resisting my temptation to stay out longer. And as the temperatures, here in Las Vegas in the wintertime, it does get cold here, and we live in the desert. So I suspect the temperatures in the pool, if they're in the 40s now, they could be in the 30s later on, and I will definitely go in, but I may not go in for 7 minutes. I may go in for a minute or 2 or 3 minutes, but whatever it is, I'm going to continue to test myself on a daily basis, that way as well as other ways. To me, that keeps you alive, vibrant, strong. You have to continue, in my opinion, to keep pushing yourself mentally and physically so that you get better and better and better. It never ends. I guess some people are just built differently, and I've always admired the folks that never stop and never give up and always want to improve themselves and always want to test themselves. And a lot of testing yourself is putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. We talk a lot about that in this podcast. Putting yourself in positions of running boards or taking a leadership position or volunteering to run something. I mean, things that are not easy, public speaking, right? Things that are not easy for people are things that you should try to experience to make yourself better and make yourself continue to grow so that you can, you have one life, right? We go through this life, we have one time to get it right. Like today will never repeat itself in my life. So what am I going to do today to make this day the best it can be? And it doesn't mean every day is just going to be nirvana and it's going to be just wonderful. You're going to have problems and setbacks. And we're human beings and we feel emotions and we feel happiness, we feel sadness, we feel elated, we feel depressed. We go through all these emotions. But the tools that you have at your disposal, physically and mentally, to deal with whatever adversity is coming your way, it's worth the effort to build these tools mentally and physically within yourself. Just like you're preparing, just like a military person, a warfighter prepares for war by training, or a football team prepares for their games by training and being uncomfortable and enduring and overcoming pain so that they know that you're ready for the game or you're ready for war. Well, it's the same thing here. Everything that I talk about today, whether your physical preparedness or your mental preparedness, it's all there to help you when bad times happen. How do you react to it and how do you overcome it? And we don't always do it well. I don't always do it well. But I try to at least prepare myself mentally and physically to deal with those stresses that are abound to come against us at some point in time. So that's what I have for today for the Ronan Leadership Podcast. A little bit different, but it's still, the whole thing about leadership is also about taking care of yourself as well. And this was more about taking care of yourself, and give the cold shower and the plunges. Give it a shot. Look into it. It may not be for everybody, and if it isn't for you, hey, no problem. There are other ways to build resiliency. But if this is something you think you might be interested in, do the research. Again, we got a link. We'll have the link to Dr. Berg's podcast on this, and listen to it. It was one of the best podcasts I've seen on the subject of cold water immersion or cold water exposure and the benefits. Give it a shot. And I'd love to hear from you on your own journey about this. And if you've been doing this for a while, I'd love for you to comment in the comment section about how it has benefited you, or if there's been any adverse reactions. We'd like to hear that too. And then if you are deciding to go there, and as your journey progresses, we'd love to hear, love for you to share how you're feeling about this, and if you're feeling any advantages physically and or mentally by doing this. So that's all we have for today for the Ronan Leadership Podcast. And like I said, we've got some great content coming soon. Please hit the like button, subscribe button, share this video, tell people about our podcast. And we love to have great content out there for you. And if it's helping you in your leadership and personal journey, then that's all we can ask for. So until next time, we'll talk at you.